Hey, can you hear me? Cool.
Just going to hang on another couple minutes and we will get started. All right, well, I will admit any stragglers as they arrive, but I think we can go ahead and get going today. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Aaron West. I am one of the principal brokers of our network. I'm out of the Eugene Springfield office. Um, I did work with Mara as a productivity coach for several years. Um, and while she is out with baby, we're kind of filling in to do intro for her. So I will introduce our instructor here in a few minutes, but let's just go around the room and do our accountability check-in, as we always do. See how things are going in everybody's business. Anybody have any good appointments lately, or do any sort of lead gen that they want to speak to? Um, Khadijah, can we start with you? How are things going with you?
Yeah, hi. I am going to do an open house on Saturday for Felicia Mondragon.
Love to hear it.
I did three last weekend. Um, and I reached out to a couple of my contacts, just trying to do some collaborations. And I started a conversation with somebody here at work who had expressed interest in buying a house when I first got licensed. So I circled back around and I reached out to her and I was like, "Hey, are you still thinking about buying a house?" And she said, "Yeah, I think I'm ready to take that journey." So I'm gonna follow up with her today and then set up an appointment to talk about what that looks like for her. Yeah,
Fantastic.
that's what I have.
Wow, thank you for sharing. That sounds like all great stuff.
I'm trying.
Um, yeah, very good, very good. Keep up the good work. Okay, looks like they're not at their. Oh, yep. Is it Zim?
I can't hear you.
Sorry, it's senior.
Oh,
How are things going with you?
I'm good. They're going great, actually. A lot better than I have done all the year that I've been in this business. So I listened to the SARS this morning. It was awesome. The 11 o'clock meeting. I don't know if anybody else was on there, but it was awesome. It was amazing for a place.
Great.
Anyways, it was great. It really helped
Okay.
put
Yeah,
things in perspective, and it helped the way you think about this business. Because, in the beginning, it's a struggle. It's you're learning so much and you're trying to get your brain in the right place. So it was pretty awesome to listen to him and trying to train us and how to be better real estate people or better people in general. So, yes,
sure.
thank you.
Well, thanks for sharing. That's great. Shelley, how about you? How are things going?
I went to the Chamber of Commerce today and had actually some really good conversation with them, even though they don't have direct on that, but they do have um, what do they call it? They do have like a business to business gathering. So I'm going to go to some of those. And then I went to Tycor Title and met with them, which also was a really positive thing. So getting out there and starting to do some meeting and greeting.
Yeah, great. Glad to hear it. Ellie, how about you? How are things going?
Good. So I'm new. This February is going to be just my setup month. My official launch date is March 1st. So I'm going through all the recordings, ordered name
Oh, okay,
badge,
cool.
ordering cards, business cards, all that kind of stuff. Just learning.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah. What area of Oregon are you in?
Southern Oregon.
Southern. Okay, cool, cool. Abigail, how are things going?
We're going good. Just been working on like lead generation. So the other day I like went door to door. I didn't knock on anyone's door, but I dropped off little like bags with my business cards and stuff and like a handwritten letter. And I've just been posting and like reaching out to all the people in my sphere, and it paid off a little bit. 'Cause one of my friends like reached out to me and she said she is possibly looking for a house later, so been talking to her about that.
Very cool. Awesome. All right, who's next here? Christopher, how about you? How are things going in your business?
Going pretty good. I'm brand new as well, so I'm kind of working on business cards, getting all that situated, and actually same for me too. March 1st, I'm going to kind of project what I can have, what I have ready out there, and start working on generating leads and more active on social media as well.
Yeah, very cool. Well, nice to meet you. What area of the state are you in?
Eugene.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Well, I'm sure we'll see you around. Oh, here comes another. One second, guys. Okay. And that brings us to Matthew. How are things with you?
They're doing pretty good. I'm working on my lead gen through social media and stuff. I've
Yes.
got a meeting today with a business owner here in Jacksonville, Oregon, um, to highlight their business and do an interview thing and start putting videos out there. I've got a photographer friend of mine who's ready to help me with that. Been working a lot with AI to help generate scripts and content and how to psychologically make a video correctly, how to brand stuff correctly. Um, so I'm working a lot on that right now. I've got my business cards. Tomorrow I'm going up and getting hoodies made with my brand and QR code and stuff on it. So working on some stuff and getting a few contacts at work.
Very cool. Love it. Thank you for sharing. Okay. Elizabeth, are you available to unmute and share?
Sure, yeah. This is the first time I've been to any of these KW classes. I'm in Southern Oregon and just kind of
Welcome.
interested to see how we might go here. Thank you.
Yeah, very cool. Welcome. Elmer, how are things going with you?
So far so good. I'm still in like the starting process, so I'm just like getting my design for cards and everything going. I'm talking to a lot of people too that I'm in real estate now, so that's the best thing, and I'm happy to talk to them about real estate too.
Yeah, very cool. A lot of you guys in similar places right now. It's very neat. Um, and Loni, how are you? If you are you available to unmute today?
Yes, sorry. So I'm doing pretty good. I think that I have just been trying to lead generate and then understanding what I'm gonna be focusing on. Like for example, how I can help our Hispanic or the Hispanic community, and then how I can get in touch with the soldiers. And so that's something that I've been like really, really trying to just make a plan on how I'm going to connect with them. So just focusing on that. And yeah. And then just also marketing, just trying to get my name out there.
Yeah, great. Thanks for sharing. All right, I think last but not least, Jane, are you available to unmute today and share?
Hi, I'm Jane.
Hi.
So, hi. I'm still doing the beginning stage. So, yeah, just keep learning and become the beginner to professional.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, a lot of you guys in similar spots. So certainly, this is a good opportunity to collaborate and, share what you're going through and things you're running into, because it's probably other folks in the room are going through the similar things. So this should be a fun one for you guys today. I'm going to get to introducing our instructor. We have also from the Eugene Market Center, Nick West. Nick was born and raised here in Eugene. His love for the area is deeply rooted in his upbringing. His local insights and in-depth knowledge of real estate market have made him the go-to agent for those looking to buy or sell in Lane County. Licensed in 2020, Nick began his career with KW in the PC program, just like all of you. And in 2023 was elected as one of our top producers and was on the ALC here in our office. So he's going to take you through follow up with leads. Take it away, Nick.
Hi, everybody. Thanks, Aaron. I appreciate that. Yeah, like Aaron said, hi, nice to meet everybody. My name is Nick West. I'm also out of the Eugene office. I'm down at the end of the hall by the Xerox machine. So if you ever want to stop by and say hi, that's where you'll find me. Yeah, I mean, pretty much Aaron said most of it. I started in a really great, perfect time to start. It was like February 2020. I'm not sure if you guys remember what happened then, but I like came to the office, was like, here we go, ready to go. And then they were like, hey, this thing called COVID, we'll see you in a week, 6 months, we don't know. And so it was kind of fun and challenging to start there and come from a place of like, okay, I've never sold or listed any house, but now we're going to do it remote. This is fun. But yeah, and then I've been with KW since I was on ALC 2023 and 2024. I didn't do it last year because was like, well, I'm going to focus more on other things that I have outside of the office. But probably if I end up getting nominated, I will probably do it again next year. Let me close my door here really quick, just so I don't have I'm not screaming to everybody in the hallway, and then also people don't come in here. Ooh. Anyways, hey, one cool thing that I want to say to all of you though, which is so nice. My camera's on like auto mode. Nice to meet everybody. Also, wow, I have to fix that camera. That's driving me crazy. That was weird. All of you seem pretty fresh, right? We're all in Ignite, which I've had people that have been around for 5 years and taken Ignite class, and I've done the same. But one thing that I want to say to all of you, because I heard a bunch of you being like, "Oh, I'm just starting out." Great, that's awesome. You are just starting out. But just so you know, and if it makes you feel any better, you already know way more than most people. Okay, so just the fact that you got your license, you're like already a pro right there. So don't feel like you're not able to like speak to whatever. Sometimes we have like in our industry, there's a lot of like imposter syndrome that happens, and it takes you a minute to actually feel like you're like, I know what I'm talking about, right? But just so you all know, the fact that you were able to get your real estate license and pass that test in like it's not everybody can do that or wants to or could even manage to, right? All the time you already put in. Anyways, that was my little like motivational moment right there. Also, if you can't already tell, I tend to just kind of like go on, right? So, this is a big group, which is awesome. We love a giant group. And like I said, I appreciate you being on camera. It's cool because I'm not talking to myself. I also understand if you can't be, so no worries there, right? Just the fact that you're here, that's great. That's amazing. If anybody has any questions, feel free to like just kind of put your hand up or be like, oh, hey, question really quick, because I don't want to get far away from something and then, be like, what were we talking about again? And like I said, I just kind of tend to go on and ramble and throw my things out there. So if you do have a question or something comes up or you don't know what I'm talking about, just pause me and be like, hey, I have a question. What we're going to do, Aaron's right, we're going to talk about follow-up with leads today. We're like lead week right now. So that's definitely where going to be our focus is. And like I said, we'll kind of like, I have a structure, I have notes, right? And then we're going to kind of probably veer off a tiny bit here and there, and I'll just throw in some of my 2 cents. So like I said, I'll try to make it fun and interactive and then get us out of here on time. I'm also going to fully trust there's parts in this curriculum that stop us and say, okay, now we're going to take 30 minutes to call our leads and blah, blah, blah. We're not going to do that today, but I'm going to trust that you're going to do that when the class is done. Okay. And then also, if you do have any questions or anything comes up, just definitely reach out to me, or reach out to Mara. But if you have anything specific about whatever, I'll put my contact info in there at the end. I love helping out. One cool thing about Keller Williams is we all love sharing our knowledge as well, which is not the case for every office I've been in, right? And I love that about KW. All right, I'm going to share my screen here, and I just updated Keynote. And so like 5 minutes ago, so hopefully it's mostly the same. Wish us luck. Okay. Whoa. Okay, let's see. There we go. It's already, hold on. Boom. Boom. Can you see the man sitting at the computer? Great. Okay, perfect. All right. I'm trying to get all of you on my screen. It's so hard to do. There we go. All right. Welcome. We're here. Okay, so yesterday we talked about lead follow-up communication with the purpose of opening the door and having that two-way communication. All right, so today we're going to talk about what happens next. So once you get a response from a lead, your goal is to convert that lead into an appointment. All right. After lead generation, lead conversion is the most business critical activity you need to master. It sounds easier than said, but it is easy. It's just work and you have to do it. If you don't have any appointments, then you don't have a buyer or seller agreement. And without an agreement, you can't have any sales contracts, right? And without sales contracts, you're not making any income. Did you guys talk about like the success system yet? Did you go into that one? Okay, cool. All right, coming up. And then let's see, yesterday. Oh, well, it's cool because Aaron did a good intro. So we already talked about all your progress and everything you've been doing. So good job with that. Keep it up, right? Write those notes, make those phone calls. Here's the agenda for today. So we're going to talk about lead conversion, how to convert a lead to an appointment. We're going to talk about improving your conversion rate. We're going to go over like a little recap of it and see if you have any questions or if I blew your mind at anything. We'll take that as question time. And then you're going to go and work on your success system, and you're going to write some notes, make some calls, make some note cards, and put some people in your command, in your contact database. By the end of the day, you should feel equipped to apply this lead conversion model. Okay. Develop your system or start thinking about your system for how you want to capture, cultivate, convert, and close on those leads. And then you should be able to apply some proven methods that we definitely have to increase your conversion rate over time. To start, does anybody have any questions to start, or anything that you specifically want to learn about today when it comes to converting leads? Cool. Okay. Again, like I said, if anything comes up, you let me know. Next slide. So lead conversion is the essential part of our follow-up process, okay? People often assume that lead generation and lead conversion are the same thing, which it's not. At its core, lead generation is when you turn activities like prospecting and marketing into leads. Lead conversion happens after you have that lead, right? And the lead is captured, and then you need to now follow up. It's unique and it's different because like they're all activities, but it's the things that you need to continue to turn those leads into appointments with the goal at the end of that to being a transaction. So I heard a bunch of you saying, oh, I've been talking up, I've been saying I'm in real estate, I'm getting that way. Okay, great. So you have your lead, right? Your mom or brother or friend. And then now you want to follow up with that lead to turn that lead into that appointment, which I heard one of you saying that you're going to have an appointment to meet with somebody. And then once you have that appointment, your goal is to turn that into a transaction that closes, right? Here's a quote from our very own Gary Keller from the book Shift. If you haven't read it, I did the audiobook. It's fine. It's good. It's a good one to read because sidebar, like I've been in this for 5 years, and it's funny because I don't know, no 2 years is the same. And so there's this book called Shift about like the market and how it shifts all the time. And it's like you read it in a time when there's a shifting market, but it's like it's kind of always shifting, right? But anyways, quote from that is the efforts that you give to converting your leads must match the effort you give to generating them. Okay. So a lot of times we can spend a bunch of our time generating leads, right? Like we're on Facebook, we're doing this, we're making calls. But again, if you have 5,000 names in your phone book or in your command or in your CRM, whichever one you use, they're not going to do anything if you're not doing anything to then generate those into business, right? And convert those from leads to business. I have a question. And like for real, think about it for a second. Why do you think both activities, generation and conversion, deserve the same amount of time spent? Does that make sense? So, like I said, we are our own bosses here. So we get to do whatever we want with our time. So when you're, like I said, you can spend 8 hours a day generating leads, right? Trying to get those. But if you're not actually converting them, then you're not turning any of that into business and doing any of that. So that's why you want to definitely try and question.
Sorry, no.
Okay. Yeah. But so that's why you want to basically make sure you're taking the same amount of time, at least, right, to work on both of those. I'm not sure if you have or are following along with your paper version or your digital version of your workbook, but if you have it and want to, you can turn to the lead conversion process page in your guide or go to that on the PDF. And basically this is going to show us the conversion process, right? So converting a lead to an appointment is a process that can happen really quickly in some cases, right? Or it can happen really slowly. And I've been on both sides of it where I have a client that I'll still call a client. Someday we'll buy a house. We talk quarterly about stuff and, we'll get there. And then I've also had clients where I talk to them and then within days, we're writing an offer on a house. Consistently getting every possible appointment from the lead you generate isn't complicated, but it does require preparation, practice, and purposeful action. Okay. The start of that model is capture. So you have to capture the lead and the information. After that, you move on to connecting, building a relationship, gaining information, building trust, and then it ends with closing for that appointment to have that conversation about what they want to do in their next step. Without the appointment, the conversion hasn't happened. After lead generation, again, I think I already said this, lead conversion is the most business critical activity that you have to figure out how to do, right? It's where your probable business that comes from lead generating activities turns into, it's where your possible business from lead generating activities turns into probable business, and then ultimately into profitable business. Converting a lead to an appointment has so much importance because it's how you have the chance of earning income, right? I think I've already said this 10 times too. If you're not actually doing anything with the pile of names and leads you have in your CRM or command or contact, your database, it's pointless to have it, right? Don't waste the time putting all those in there if you're not going to do anything with them. Does that make sense? We're all on the same page, right? Cool, great. We love that. Okay, so we're going to talk about how get into the specifics of converting them and turning them into appointments and lay the groundwork, right? So capturing. What capturing is it's collecting the minimum amount of valid contact information of a potential buyer or seller, right? Uh, this should include the names, way to get a hold of them, email, phone number, address, ideally. This you can either like when you're lead generating, whether you're like pulling from Facebook or reaching out and calling people, this is the easiest information to get. Um, do you have any of you gone out and done any lead generating or try to capture names and emails? And how have any of you done that yet?
I did door knocking with Ashley.
Fun.
Actually, it was not what I expected. And we did get a total of, I think, 3 leads on that.
Awesome. Like, and that's one that's like, that's so intimidating. And the fact that you were like, all right, just gonna go do it. And it went well, I'm guessing. Nobody like freaked out at you, right?
That was the surprising thing, was that for the most part, everybody was pretty nice. I mean, we had a few grumpy people, but
Yeah.
that, were just a little short. But for the most part, everybody was really nice and, talkative. And so, yeah, it was a good experience. So
Awesome. That's really
I'm not
cool.
afraid to do it by myself.
Yay. Good job. That's amazing. That's so good. Great. Anybody
I like
else?
door knocking personally. I
Nice.
enjoy it. I'm out there
No, that's
walking,
awesome.
enjoying the sun or the rain. And I've gotten like some plants from some people, some cuttings. So it's kind of been fun.
So you're like, all right, like I actually like left with some stuff too.
Yeah, it was really cool. This one lady had a beautiful rose plant and she gave me cuttings from it. I killed it, but she still gave it to me.
I mean, hey, now, like I said, hey, that might just be another way to connect and be like, hey, I killed that plant. Can I have some more?
Exactly. I got to go back and say, hey,
Yeah,
I'm
no,
not so great
exactly.
at plants after all.
Yep. Cool. That's really great. That's awesome that multiple of you have already done that. I love that. That took me, I think, hey, I still don't love doing it. So I get that. Other ways you can do it, open house. Has anybody had an open house yet? Oh wait, I heard somebody say they did an open house or they're doing one.
I shadowed one.
Cool.
Yeah.
Sweet.
So I didn't get to get any of my own leads or anything, but I got to watch it. It's cool. Yeah.
You got to kind of see how it's done. Yeah, that's awesome.
I will host an open house this Sunday.
Awesome. Are you the one you said you're doing it for Felicia?
Sorry?
Did you say you were doing it for Felicia?
No, host an open house.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Sweet. That's great. So yeah, definitely one way you can capture is from open houses. And when you're hosting that open house, anybody that comes in there, that's a whole name and a whole lead and somebody who's potentially actively looking for a house, right? I mean, you'll also get some neighbors here and there, but then still that's a name and a person that you can then chat with. You can also do it social media. So for me, it's not like social media where I'm being like putting a post out there being like, hi, can I have your email and address, right? It's more like I'm going through my friend list and seeing those people and being like, all right, here's enough information where I can then take that lead. People also do mailers and flyers for sale signs. When you're capturing information and like talking to people, it's important to know what you're going to say before you start it, right? Because then you can kind of like work the conversation. So instead of like asking somebody like, what's your phone number? And seeming aggressive, you can kind of go in there and be like, oh, hey, if I were to need to contact you, what's the best way to do it? How would I do that? What's the best number to reach you at, right? If I were to go in there, if I found exactly what you were looking for, how would I get a hold of you? For you, what's the best way to do that? If I found out that information that you're wanting, how should I get it to you? Right? So you're kind of being like, in those questions, asking like for their phone number without asking for their phone number, you're fully asking for their email address without asking for their email address. which just makes it easier and it's more natural. And then it also seems like you're kind of like coming from a place of helping, right? Which we'll get to that. But yeah, like you always, you know, when you're, it's when you feel like you're being pushy and aggressive, and if you're feeling that way, then they're probably feeling that way too, and you don't want to do that. So like I said, if you want to come from a place of like help and come from contribution. Have all of you gone into like your Ignite, or not your Ignite, your Command, and messed around with your database? Have you started working on your databases? Do you have a CRM, which is Command? Okay. So a CRM, when I say CRM, it is client relations management software. And so there's a bunch of them out there, right? Or you can kind of be like, well, my CRM is Google Google Spreadsheet, which don't do that. That's not a real thing. But there's multiple out there. Because you're in Keller Williams or KW, you have access to Command, which is the Keller Williams CRM, which you pay for it. You just use it. It's really good. It's kind of always evolving. I see a chat. 1 second. Great. No worries, Ellie. Thanks for letting us know. So yeah, but when I say CRM, that's what I'm talking about, or database, right? Your list of names, all your clients. Honestly, yeah. So somebody asked in the chat, does anyone have a CRM they really like? My answer is Command, because I already pay for it and I bought into it. There's other ones called Top Producer. They're all monthly something, right? You can also use Wix. Like if you have like a Wix website, there's a Wix CRM. The one that I hear the most about is called Top Producer. It's kind of like older looking. It's more like HTML, kind of like RMLS style. But like I said, what's cool is you already have one and it's built into the same thing that when you do get a deal going, you'll have to put that person in Command anyways to get paid. So I just kind of was like, well, I pay for this. This is the one I'm going to use. So I'm buy into it, and I've had it for 5 years. And I'll tell you, it was definitely different 5 years ago. And it was like, right. But it's completely, for me, but pretty good now. And it integrates with my phone. There's a phone app, and I can just have my contacts go right into it. So, and like I said, I already pay for it in my being my dues for Keller Williams. So I at least when you're first starting out, I would say just dive on into that one. Yeah, for when you're capturing, you have to have a system in place like a CRM, right? And try to capture all leads, any name you have, put it in your database, put it in your CRM, and then continue to cultivate and make notes in your CRM also, because then you can kind of speak back to like what the last time you talked and where you're, what like the timeline. You can kind of make your own timeline. All leads you get might not be ready for an appointment, let alone buying a house. So your goal is to then gain mind share and continue to stay in close proximity to them so that when they are ready, they think of you, right? So, oops, sorry, here 1 second. Am I trying to follow along and match your notebook thing also? So yeah, not everybody's going to be ready, but still you're going to want to put them in there. And like I said, you want to gain mind share. A really smart person told me one time, and I don't know how like true this fact is, but it's somewhat right. And I don't know the full number on it, but somebody told me one time that people forget about you every 21 days. So like on day 23, you're not being thought about anymore unless you're actively going out and making that person think about you. I think about that all the time. But yeah, after 21 days, you're no longer thought about. So you now need to have systems in place so you're able to stay top of mind. The second step of the lead model is connecting. And that's what I'm saying there. So connecting is about laying that foundation for a working relationship, right? What is important during the step is to listen, ask good questions, offer solutions, and keep the focus and the conversation on your client so you can learn more about them and connect with them. The goal of the communication, in addition to building relationship, is to determine the urgency of their plan, right? To give you enough information to know how to prioritize this lead and to help you know what type of touch campaign, which we'll get to, that's a follow-up plan. Let you know how you want to follow up with them and how like hot of a lead they are, right? As you communicate and connect with people, the best things to keep in mind, right, is to embed your value proposition into that conversation. So you're positioning yourself as the local expert. Like what I said at the very beginning, you already know so much more than most people, and you have like this huge network of other agents that would love to help you out and answer your questions. So already you're the local expert. When I say like local, your sphere, like you're the expert of the people you know, right? So don't feel weird and that you don't know anything or that you're like this imposter, because you're not. Just getting your license, you've already known so much more than most people. Um, uh, it's also you want to build and then have the confidence to know what you're going to say. So practice your conversations, know the market data, the amount of times where somebody's going to ask you, oh, you're in real estate, how's the market? And you don't want to just be like, good or bad, right? That kind of sweet, cool. I sure sounds great. And yeah, and then it sometimes is tough, but you're all in this together. So if you ever want to do like a role play thing, do it. It helps, right? And it's sometimes hard to role play because you like I don't know what the person's gonna say, but then just be you, and just back and forth it. And then use a backward design when you're thinking about your communication, right? So think about your intended outcome before you even start the conversation, right? So use like open up and leading questions to get people to kind of like, you can lead the conversation without really saying a lot. And a lot of it has to do with just opening up. People love to talk. Okay. How many times have you been in a conversation where you're like talking about a vacation you took and then it becomes this like, you're not on purpose one upping each other, but you're just then all of a sudden like, oh yeah, this vacation I took. Oh yeah, this vacation I took. Oh yeah, this vacation I took. Where like, if you're just like sit back and listen, they'll tell you so much more and just so much more stuff that wasn't even like what they wanted to like say, right? Like they'll just start gossiping with you and then you'll start learning more about them and like their timeline and what they need. So keep that in mind. Like always try to think about what you want out of the conversation almost before you even start it. There's connecting is more than just like small talk, right? Your communication should always seek to answer the basic questions, right? So who, what, when, where, why, or how. So these questions are really good questions to think about too, because then it helps whoever you're speaking to open up, right? So you don't ever want to really get like a yes or no question, right? Or answer. You always kind of want to like get more, like tell me more. So some examples of those would be like, when you say who are they, you're looking for as much personal information about them as their situation that they're willing to share, right? So they're married, how many kids they have, their pets, their jobs. Those are all details that you'd want to put in your database too. Their birthday, we'll circle back around to that. When you ask somebody what they need to do, you're beginning to assess their wants, needs, and their current plans, right? Where? Now you're trying to get understanding of their current situation, what they're in right now, what they want to be in. When you're asking why, you're trying to determine their motivation. So I have to move because I got a new job or family or I'm having a kid. Literally, I had these two guys be like, we got a dog. So now we need another house. And I said, that is great. Sounds crazy, but yeah, sounds right. And then when, so you're trying to get a feel for their timeline, right? So they might be like, oh, in the next 10 years. And you're like, okay, cool, sweet. Well, like, we'll keep talking, but you're not going to like try and hassle them every day because they're even saying, well, the next 10 years. Or, when you share with me when you want to do this. And somebody like, I literally have a client right now of a person that I've known for years. I've known this person for years. And they called me and they said, hey, do you want to take me to this house to go look at it that I'm probably not going to buy? But like, and I said, yes. And we are literally pending on that house right now. And it was just like, I was like fully like, yeah, let's go look at this house in Veneta. Why not? Like, and then in my mind, I'm going, all right, cool. I got there. You know what? They're thinking about me. Da, 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 da. I've known them for years. And then it literally closes, I think, next week, which is great. And that made me happy. Also, it made me happy too, because like, I know this person and I know this person has done many, many deals in their life. I know that they have money and they, like they didn't have to pick me. In fact, I know they've done many deals with somebody else before, but the fact that they were like, all right, you know what? Like, Nick's around. He stays top of mind because I'm texting them. They're in smart plans. I email them. And then they just decided to pick me. And like they even wrote that, even the text was like, hey, will you take me to this house? I just want to look, I'm probably not going to anything. And I said, yeah, let's go. That's my job. Let's have fun. Let's go for it. So yeah, anyways, yeah, when you ask for when, that's when you want to figure out their timetable. And then how is a very good question, because this one also will help you to be like, I'm not going to say waste your time, but put your time and energy somewhere else or at that direction based off of how they plan to do it, which there you're literally assessing like what they've already done, what their expectations are, and how they're going to make that happen. Literally, like if we're talking about a house, you're gonna be like, well, can you buy it? Can you buy a house? Right? Because like I also have a friend who has asked me multiple times to be like, can we go look at this $1.2 million house? And I have to be like, not today, because I know we ain't buying a $1.2 million house anytime soon, or even a house. So, but you have to like assess that, right? And if I could have wasted so much time taking this person to houses that because they don't know that I don't get paid hourly, right? You know what I mean? Oh, in your guide, those questions are there too. And also in your guide, there's questions that you can ask like kind of specifically for buyers and sellers, right? So, and categorize those, right? So when you practice those two, and as you go through the connection process and cultivate the relationship, you know about the person more, and then you kind of know how to ask the question or which way you want to go. Again, be sure that you document all the conversations you have and their outcomes in your database, right? So when I'm doing calls or actively like lead generating, I will put a note in there that said, I sent this person a card on this day. I talked to this person. I left them a voicemail. This is what we talked about. I'll put new information in there. If they're not like a really good close friend of mine that I don't talk to all the time, then I want to remember their dog's name, because then I can next month say, how's Brody doing? Right. And just, yeah, make those, make them specific. And then also when you take note and document your communication, it also lets you know how to move the relationship forward or how to come from contribution in the future, right? When you come from contribution, you don't feel like you're doing that sales tactic, or you're just being like, you want to buy a house. You're being like, hey, what can I do to help, right? Which people are going to be way more receptive to than you just asking a yes or no question or a not open up question. Oh yeah, and questions like those, sample question, what are you looking for in your dream home, right? Have you seen any houses you like? What's prompting your move? How long have you been looking? Are you pre-approved? What's the price range you have? Those are all questions that the answer can't be yes or no. Okay, well, are you pre-approved? Yes, no. But then you're like, okay, why? Or who, with who? Right? Those are all open up questions. Questions for sellers, what's the address of your home, right? That gets you their address. Then you can also provide them a CMA, a market analysis. Ask them what's prompting the move. Ask them what their time frame is. Are you working with an agent? Are you interviewing agents? How much do you think your home is worth? How much do they think their home is worth? That's a good one. That's an open up question. They'll tell you how much their house is worth. You can't know or predict when they will come to a decision, but if you're reconnecting with them in a systematic way, you'll have a good chance of being there when they do. Okay. And that's when you'll be able to close and ask for the appointment. So you see it goes, capture, connect, close, but boop, boop, we have cultivate in there on the side. So that's where it's like, that's where you want to stay top of mind. Because like you said, not every lead you get is immediately, or most are not going to be ready to buy a house tomorrow or in a month, right? You just want to make sure that you use your systems and you reconnect in a scheduled way that you're doing it, and then you want to stay top of mind. your goal in using the conversion model is to move immediately from capture to connect and close. However, you'll find most of them won't be able to do that. To keep mind share, you're going to use a touch campaign. Touch campaigns are that's essentially like when it's a planned out way of reconnecting and meeting with somebody, right? You'll use that and communicate and cultivate your relationship until they're ready for an appointment, right? In Ignite, I think you guys have already learned about touch campaigns, which are some the probably most 36 touch campaign. That's the one that a lot of people say they. That's what a lot of people say they do. Most people do not have a proper and reusable 36 touch campaign. I will tell you, Mara has a great one, and she actually does it. Every day I see Mara, and at some point she's writing a letter, just writing a little note card to somebody, right, to put in the mail, because that's part of her touch campaign. If you missed that class, or if you have no idea what I'm talking about, essentially when you say something like a 36 touch, that means that in 12 months, in 1 year, you will touch or reach out to, talk to, engage that one person. So there's also like, there's a 12 touch plan, right? So a lot of people be like, okay, a 12 touch plan is where like in 4 months, I'm going to have contacted them 12 times. The one that's most popular, the one that most people know about, is called a 36 touch campaign. I think that makes it be like, essentially like 1.5 times a month, or yeah, 1.5 times a month. And as you start to implement your touch campaigns, you can always like make your own kind of thing, right? And kind of figure out what's good for you. I heard somebody saying, how do they want to get with their community and like their and vets, right? It's like, yup, that's the goal, right? You find what works for you and you do it. My business and my clients are going to be different than Jane's business and Jane's clients, right? Christopher's business is going to be different than mine. We're all in it together, but how we do it and where we focus our energy is going to be different, and you just need to find what works for you. As you start it, it's recommended. Yeah, start with the 36 touch or ones that have already been done, and then you can kind of start that way once you have a solid understanding of how they work, and then you can kind of migrate off to do your own thing. Cultivation is the step in the model which most people find themselves struggling. Anybody have any guesses why?
Is it because you have to be constantly keeping track and touching out and cultivating? Like that takes a lot of work and a lot of remembering. So if you don't have a system in place like me to remember who you've been connecting with, then it gets a little havoc.
Yep. It's spot on. So it's for so many reasons. It's like, okay, I don't know what I'm talking about. Okay. I don't want to feel like a bother. Think about how many texts you get from like a machine that like for a day, right? From like that one. And you're barely upset about it and you haven't unsubscribed yet. Yeah. So, and also there's a huge trick about accountability, right? We are our own bosses now. I don't have to come to the office at all. I don't have to do that at all. I don't have to be here. I can do whatever I want. So it's hard to be like, okay, well, I'll just keep lead generating, but I'm not going to call anybody because like, I don't want to, it's uncomfortable, it's awkward, and I'm lazy and tired, and I'd rather go watch 30 Rock. And you know what I mean? Yeah.
I was just going to say, I just was reading about how also, we're doing all these like seed planting. So you're lead generating and you're trying to cultivate, but you're not seeing like this payoff yet. And so I will specifically, I start to get a little like, oh, what is this all for? Nothing's happening. But I mean, I do know it's like for down the road, but I can see why people will get like, this isn't doing anything, and then maybe try to just give up on doing what they're doing.
100%. 100%. Think of everything that you do today is potential business in 60 to 90 days away, right? Everything you do today, 60 to 90 days is going to pay off. So, and it can be tough, especially when you're like starting out or when you have a lull. Like not everybody had a good 2025. I did not have a good 2025. I did better earlier years than I did last year. And it was really, there was some times where I genuinely was like, okay, well, I don't have any deals going on. I don't have any money. That's and that. And I'm like, I don't want to like reach out and do this thing because what am I getting out of it? You know what I mean? Because and then you just need to know that like everything you do today, 60 to 90 days away, is where you should see the payout of it. And again, like don't think of it so literally, like, okay, I talked to Bill. I talked to Bill today. So in 60 days, Bill's gonna call me, but it's more like the vibe, right? I talked to these 10 people today. Ba, 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 ba. Ball rolls down the hill in 60, 90 days. Somebody could have talked to somebody, could have talked to somebody, and now I have business or I have movement, right? You yeah, again, like once again, you can't predict when they're going to do it, but when they do, you want to be the one to stay on their mind, to be there when they would do. We'll talk about close here. So closing is when you ask for that appointment. You kind of think of it in this framework, right? You're concluding the conversation and seeing if there's a new one that can take place, right? It's your responsibility to ask for that appointment also. So there's times myself, I've done it where it's like, you can tell the person is literally just waiting for you to be like, would you like to meet? Right? That's why, when you buy a car or anything, when you do a sales, you can, I came from Apple too. So I used to work at Apple and I worked in hiring and training and then also sales. So there's a huge aspect of like, you can spend 30 minutes telling somebody about a MacBook or a house. But if you're not like, do you want this? Then they might literally just be like, not say they want it and then just leave, right? Same thing with like your appointment. So it's like you're talking to people all the time about real estate and blah, blah, blah. But if they literally might think, oh, Christopher's so busy. So like, I would love to like ask him, but like, he's so busy, this and that. So I don't want to bug him. Right. And then they're not going to ask you unless you're like, would you want to meet? Do you want to talk more? Do you want to get more into this? Some people just literally need that. I don't even want to say push, that pull, right? They just need that. They need that thing that you're saying it's okay. Just like touches, when you use to stay in emotional proximity, they have different degrees of effectiveness, right? So there's all different ways of asking for that. Example right here, when you're asking for an appointment, what do you think is the most effective way to do it? A text, an email, a phone call, or in person?
Text.
So okay, you know what's funny? Text is actually pretty good because right now, like let's say like this was even written like pre-COVID, right? And this was updated post-COVID, but it is funny because a lot of people have changed a bunch. But technically, right, because it's the easiest to ignore, the least effective way is a text message or an email because you can ignore it so easily, right? In person, if I were to come to you and be like, do you want to go get coffee next week? And you're gonna be like, sure, right? So like it's way harder to ignore when you do it in person. And then a phone call is a really personal thing these days because so many people don't call and do text instead, that when you call, it's almost like, oh my God, look at you taking the time out to do this. Truly, I'm a crazy millennial who like overthinks everything. So for me, I'd rather call somebody than text them anyways, because I'll look at what I'm writing and then I'll be like, I'll dissect it like crazy versus just call. Like it might even take me less time to call somebody than it is to text somebody just because I'm overreading into everything I'm doing. But yeah, the most effective way is going to be in person, a phone call, then an email, then a text. But that being said, also know your audience, right? If you have friends that are like, I don't answer phone calls, like, all right, then text is going to be the way you go, right? Or in person. But a lot of it just has to do with, like that proximity, right? When you're in person with somebody, you're already so close, right? When you're emailing or texting, you're already far away, and it's easy to just kind of like turn your head the other way and walk the other way. Does that make sense? Okay, cool. But again, like I said, truly like do think about your group too, because like this person who I'm in this house with right now, I can't get a hold of her on the phone if my life depended on it. Her email address or her voicemail literally says, I don't know, text me. Like it's literally that. And so it's like, right, but when you're setting an appointment, what are the most important elements to schedule, right? So you're not looking necessarily for a yes in the appointment, right? As soon as you get the yes to schedule the appointment, you do need to move on it, right? And so you need to know at least like the date, the time, the location, what we're gonna do. Keep in mind the location, right? If you're going to a bar. Like I used to try to go to the Flying Squirrel all the time. It's my local dive bar, but it's like I can't actually get work done there at all. It's just too loud. There's too much going on. Coffee, right? Starbucks might be easier. Local coffee shop. Play it there. Where are they at? Make it easy for them. Not the mall, right? Something like that. Um, the office. Meeting in the office is a great place to meet because then you're like full attention is on each other. Also, you get to show off the office, right? Like this is where I work. Look how cool it is. Another quote from Gary. In the end, if they can meet and have a good enough reason to meet, they will meet. If they don't, then they won't. And that's okay. You really don't care what their answer ultimately is because you're not going to get somebody to do anything they don't want to do. You're just going to ask and you're just going to ask and respond until they agree that meeting with you makes sense or it doesn't. Either way, you both win, right? So you're not going to force somebody to have a meeting with you. You're just going to ask, be there, be top of mind until they decide to have that meeting with you. And that's, again, where you want to like keep reaching out, stay top of mind. Also in your book, this isn't, I don't think, anywhere on my slides, but there is also some good, like, kind of closing sentences to use, right? To just be like, get them again to not say yes or no, but to open up and just kind of also the questions you ask them, like I said, kind of like lead the direction of where you want it to go. But yeah, there's some good notes in there on that, just so you know. So in your what is it, your book, your workbook, in there's some good lines you can use for asking for that appointment without feeling like you're hassling or being annoying, which you're not. Any questions? Okay. So basically, where to get leads from, like how to convert them into an appointment, right? And then we're going to talk about conversion rate. So your conversion rate refers to the percentage of leads that you ask for an appointment to those that agree to the appointment. Okay, so you ask for 10 leads. If you ask 10 leads for an appointment and you succeed in setting 8 of those, there's an 80% conversion rate. Okay, your goal, no matter what, your ultimate goal is to increase your conversion rate. I don't know if any of you come from retail or anything like that too. Like you'll know that in retail, like just more things added per ticket, right? The more times you're going to close. Your ultimate goal is to raise up and increase your conversion rate. The higher your percentage, the more leads you've converted to appointments, right? If you're converting at a low percentage, this would tell you that you might have a lead conversion challenge, right? The challenge is not the number of leads you're generating, but your ability to get them to an appointment. Does that make sense? Okay. And then also when it comes to lead conversion or conversion rate, that is kind of a business specific thing, right? So your number is your number. Like, sometimes the lead conversion is based on your total number of leads in your database. And sometimes it's just based off the leads you're cultivating at a certain time, right? So if you are someone who has 3,000 leads names in your database because you pulled from your phone and Facebook and all that, and you convert one into an appointment, it's going to be a low number, right? But that's like your number. And then if you're also like, okay, well, I have 100 people in my database and I'm actively talking to 5 of them, and you're counting those 5. And then if you get one of those, then you're going to have a higher number. But again, that's your number and your way of doing your lead or your conversion rate. And you just got to figure out what works for you. If I was I would do my whole contact database and then an appointment out of that whole amount. So my number would be a small number, but I want that number to be higher, right? And that's just, that's how I do it because I've just been in it long enough. And like I said, I pulled every name and address and number I had from my cell phone and put it in my command, which included like Hollywood videos that don't exist anymore and Circuit City. And it's like, well, that's not a real thing. So that, right? Like I'm not counting that as an active. Here's ways to improve your conversion rate. Okay. So once you understand what conversion rate is, then you can basically figure out like where you need to work on it and how you get it to go higher, whatever that number is. This is when you get more purposeful on improving your conversion rate, right? You gain insight, getting more purposeful on what you bring to the table. So there's certain activities that you can do to improve your conversion rate as well. A lot of those people time block. My old life and career, we started time blocking. It was like, oh, this is crazy. It's something I'll never have to think of again. And then it's like, oh, wait, it's actually great. And that's why they do it, because if you're not making your schedule and sticking to it, again, we agents can sometimes have a really easy time of just being like, well, I'm going to do that tomorrow, right? And then using your systems and conversations, right? So that's like practicing, doing talk tracks, practicing asking for that appointment. If you master like your buyer and your seller presentation, that's like when you're in the appointment, making sure that you actually move forward with that. Connecting with your whole database. Okay. So that's the other thing. You can kind of sometimes like hyper focus in and be like, well, I'll talk to like these 5 people because A, you're comfortable with it. And B, because you're like, well, I think something might happen here. But then like start expanding out, right? And be like, I got my mom and my dad. Okay, cool, great, easy. But then take it a step further, right? Like start connecting with your whole database. Because again, if they're not thinking about you, they're not going to call you to buy or sell their house, right? And then also prioritize your leads. So if somebody calls you to be like, hey, I want to buy a house tomorrow, and you'll be like, all right, well, I'll talk to them next week. It's probably not going to fly, versus somebody that calls you and they're like, let's talk in a couple months about a house. Well, then you might want to call them next week, right? But prioritize those leads and qualify those leads. Like when I say hot or cold leads, that's kind of what I mean when I say that. Yeah, don't forget to reconnect with everyone in your database, right? Again, people out there, there's a one-off, but for the most part, if you reach out to somebody and connect with them just to say hi, catch up, what are you doing, anything I can do to help, they're not going to be mad about it. They're actually probably going to be like pretty stoked about it and happy. Shoot, I totally lost my train of thought. And I was, oh, I forgot. Well, I'll come back around, I'm sure. And then also when you do talk to those people, then increase your database, right? When you can, get comfortable asking for referrals, right? So when you have those conversations, they're not just like to talk to that lead. You can also get more leads through that. So, feeling comfortable asking if they know somebody else that might want to start a journey of buying or selling a house, right? Again, if you come from like curiosity, you come from care, I'm calling just to check on you. I'm wondering how you're doing. Is there anything I can do to help? Do you want to know what your house is worth? You're contributing. People aren't going to be mad about reaching out like that. They're gonna love that. And then like I said, just kind of know who to prioritize too. Like, don't spend all your energy on one person that is flat out telling you it's not going to happen, and then not spend enough energy on somebody that you're like, oh, I think they're going to do it, but I'm scared and I don't want to compete with somebody else and waste that lead away. It really sucks and it hurts when somebody reached out to you and kind of like tiptoed into talking about real estate and you kind of just dropped the ball on it. And then a month later you see on Facebook that they're pending with another agent. It sucks. I've done it. It's happened to me. It'll happen to you. Yeah, every lead has the potential to turn into business. There's no bad leads, right? There's no bad leads, right? Because you can take, again, like I said, somebody that you're like, they're not going to buy a house, but how many people do they know that they might want to buy a house? And are they going to recommend you when they hear that that person wants to buy a house or sell their house. Again, you want to make sure, there's no bad leads when you do the following, right? So you want to make sure you capture enough information to actually be able to get a hold of that lead. A name does nothing. A name and a Facebook profile, meh. It's, see what more you can get from that. Your phone number, email address, right? And then you're going to connect to those people and assess their needs to establish your relationship, right? That's where you're going to come from contribution and come from care and say, you're going to connect with those people. And then you're going to make sure you cultivate that relationship, right? Because not everybody is ready tomorrow to have an appointment with you or to buy or sell a house. But you want to make sure you're cultivating that relationship so you stay top of mind and you're the trusted person that they go to. And then don't forget to actually ask for the appointment. Like I said, there's so many times where you can call somebody and talk to somebody in person on the phone and you have a conversation and it's just kind of like, okay, bye, done. Where maybe they were literally just waiting for you to be like, do you want to go? Like, do you want to take it a step further, right? Any questions? Does that all make sense? Sweet, cool.
You're next.
Mm-hmm. Wait, did you have a question?
No, I just said thank you.
Oh, okay, cool. You're welcome. Okay, so again, like from all that, basically, it's really just like 3-4 steps, right? And again, sounds super easy. It is easy. You just have to do it, and then just know that, like, the more you're doing it, the more you're going to have to continue to do it, and that's kind of the part where also like people can get burnt out. So time block, do it with intention. Don't overwhelm yourself either, kind of thing. So when you're like going out there, like looking for leads, again, like take as much time getting those leads as you can, also like cultivating that relationship and building on those leads, right? Because again, if you just have 1,000 names in your phone book and not doing anything with them, that's not going to help you out. And then again, don't forget to ask to close. I'm gonna just 1 second here. I want to pull this up. Okay. This is the part right here where, like I said, we're not going to do this right now, but I'm going to trust that you are going to do this later. And start, do your conversations, add your contacts, and your handwritten notes. One thing I'll tell you about handwritten notes, and I'm sure you've already heard this, and you're going to hear this 20 more times, because we'll talk about handwritten notes all day long, right? Nobody does it. Nobody actually does it. So, like, if you're the person that actually does it, I mean, people do it, but the amount of people that they're like, yeah, I do handwritten notes all the time, but that's like they wrote a birthday card to a family member 6 months ago. When somebody actually gets a handwritten note from you, just like when you get a handwritten note from somebody, it's kind of a big deal. So, like, don't discount the handwritten note thing. I love it. I have a stack of cards like that I just get for cheap, that when I can try and think of a note to write, I will do it. And make it like, it doesn't need to be super specific, right? Like, I went to a friend's house, I'll say friend, a really good acquaintance / friend's house. And we had just like a little hangout. They had a little party, a little dinner party on their back patio. And I was like trying to think and be like, oh my God, oh, duh, why wouldn't I write them a thank you card? That's like the coolest thing. Like, I didn't have to do that at all. I texted them. They knew I was happy to come. I went there. I saw them since, but like, write a thank you card. And that's just such a, like, it really means a lot. And like I said, think about when you get one. It's pretty cool. And people don't actually do it enough. But yeah, don't discount that for sure. Also, yeah, here we're gonna go here. So I'm not gonna force us to do that one, but I again recommend if you have the time, find a buddy, do some back and forth. Don't be mean about it, right? Like do it, like pretend like you're a real person, right? Sometimes when people role play, they like really try to like fight it and like argue, but it's like no, just like act like a real person. That way it makes it comfortable for everybody. Um, have those lead generation conversations, right? So you can like know kind of what to speak to and uh kind of like I was saying, when you kind of lead the conversation with your questions where you kind of already know the answer, but you also want them to say it. And then make sure you set, when you time block, you set a chunk of your day to do follow-ups, right? Because like right now, during this session, I have gotten a couple texts that I need to actually follow up on. Like people are really bad at following up too. Like, and this is, you'll experience this too when you like need to call a roofer and you're like literally wanting to give a roofer $20,000 to fix your roof. You'll be like, I've called this guy 3 times. I want to give him $20,000 to fix the roof, and he's not getting a hold of me. And then it's like, all right, cool. Like moving on, right? That will also happen to you, right? So just don't forget to follow up. You can get kind of carried away with reaching out, but then even myself, sometimes I know it's like, okay, if I send out a bunch of texts today and do all this work, then I'm gonna get some questions back, and I actually need to like follow up with those. Also, don't forget to celebrate your success too. Okay, I'm gonna turn this off here really quick, and then we're gonna like veer off just for a couple minutes to go like a little bit specific, more in depth. So, does anybody have any questions about that stuff? What we went over, generating those, cultivating them. I'm going to dive deeper into it like right now, but does anybody have any questions before we do that? Okay, cool. So, like I was saying, you all have, Shelly, were you going to say something? Okay, sorry, it looked like you were going to. So we all have access to Command, right? Which is Keller Williams CRM. It's pretty robust. There is tons of plans in there of touch campaigns. They're called smart plans in Command. There's you have the ability to there's a software called Twilio. What that is it gives you another phone number, so then you're also able to text message from Command. So what the reason I like to use smart plans is because it's a combination of an email, a text, a phone call, a note, right? And there's certain plans in there that when you attach them to your contact, it's going to say, all right, so you're going to write, give Shelly a call today and take notes on that. And then in 4 days or 5 days, it will just send Shelly an email. You don't have to do that. And then you can even have it hook up and set so that it sends texts for you. Just so you know, the Twilio texts aren't from your phone number and people will reply to them. So I like to assume that everybody knows that that is not me actually texting them and it is a machine. Most people understand that like machines can text, right? And write an email, but there is definitely people out there that when you write that text or that email saying, "Hey Bill, here's your neighborhood market update," they will reply to it and be like, "That's so great, thanks." And you're like, "Okay, that's great. That's good. They replied." So make sure you also like check your if you're doing that and you're using your smart plans, you check your responses too with like Twilio and your emails, because like people will reply to them and ask you a question to that phone number that isn't really you. But if you set it all up right, you'll see the notification and like that. Okay. I'm also, so the other thing about like way that, because there was somebody asked a question about like, where do you get them from, right? And where do I get my leads from, right? So there's a million different ways you can do it. You can buy your leads. I've did it one time. I don't think it led to anything. I've heard door knocking, open houses, right? The other part also that like how I do it is just get out there, right? So you now have this opportunity where you're in this career where you do write your own schedule and you're not stuck behind a desk at a certain time. When I worked at Apple, all I did was work and then clock off and be exhausted and go home and then do the same thing the next day, right? Well, I never volunteer. I mean, I never volunteered a day in my life except for the times that I was forced to whenever right? Like, okay, whatever. But now it's like, what do? I volunteer. I volunteer my ass off. I'm on boards, and it's, again, I'm not, you're doing it because you're coming from contribution and you want to help out, but it's like, that's how you can kind of find your group and what works for you and who you want to have be your clients, right? So I recommend everybody get out there. There's also a billion things that, and you'll get this too. If you could take a class or go to a title company, you could literally spend every single day, every business hour, every time awake taking some sort of class, right? Which we love. Classes are great. We love that. But also don't get bogged down in that, because then you're also not getting out there. Go to a happy hour, okay? My really good friend is a lender at Summit Funding. They have a Summit Funding happy hour every month. I love going to it. It's fun. But also realize that when you go to a happy hour for escrow agents and it's full of other realtors, you're not actually making business from that at all, right? You're not going to get business from another realtor, right? Like in town, at least, right? There's other ways to network, get business from agents. But so try and find things that you're interested in. Everything that you're interested in, there's a million other agents as well. So, don't not do something because there's other realtors there, because people gravitate to other people, right? So like I'm sure you all know a realtor or two yourself but you're like, well, I don't necessarily want to use that person, or I really do. So don't feel weird about going to a thing and putting yourself out there, because somebody won't want to work with you because you and that person will connect, right? But yeah, that's like a big thing. I definitely, and what's nice too is if you're, not, it makes it easier to get, when you get out there and you put yourself in a position that almost, it's like slightly uncomfortable, but it's like, okay, I'm literally putting myself in this pile of people that I don't know, that I need to talk to. And it's a good like practice way to make that happen, right? That's kind of, like I said, that's how I really, like, after wasting money on buying leads and spending money on postcards and stuff, right? I then was like, no, I'm just gonna start doing this my own way. I'm gonna start like being me and going out there and just trying to meet people. And so I definitely like recommend doing that and not getting too bogged down in the networking part of everything. Like, networking is great. We love that. But like I said, you could literally spend 8 a.m. till 7 p.m. every day of the week going to classes and networking with others and masterminding and doing all that stuff, which we love, but also don't get stuck in a cycle of doing that, because again, you're not adding anything to your table or your database. You're not cultivating relationships, and you're not converting those into appointments. And you can definitely get stuck doing that. I also definitely, like I said, recommend, just even if you want to do a different CRM, just play around with Command, get in there. It's pretty robust. There is a whole like section where you can design these emails, have them go out. I have a handful of smart plans and touch plans that I really, really like. You can find the ones that you like too. One that is the easiest plan you can do, the easiest touch plan you can do is birthdays. So I recommend starting there and just being like, okay, you can find somebody's birthday from Facebook. You already probably know a bunch of birthdays. Make sure that when you put that person in your database, you put that birthday in there. And then there's a specific birthday smart plan in Command that will literally tell you when to write Shelly a card. I keep using Shelly because like you're the top one there. So thank you for being my guinea pig. That if you go in that plan, it will literally tell you to say, okay, you're going to write Shelly a birthday card today and put it in the mail today. And then she'll get it in 4 days. And then you're going to text Shelly the day before, and it'll remind you and say, text Shelly the day before, your birthday's tomorrow. Hope it's going to be a good one. And then it'll remind you and then the next day you can have it automatically send an email that says happy birthday, comes from you. It can automatically send a text that says happy birthday, comes from you. That's one of the easiest smart plans to do. And it's it's a good one to like start messing with the system, because it can get kind of overwhelming, especially when you do a 36 touch. 36 touch is a lot to do. It's really it is work, and your goal should be to have a really robust, actually structured one. It's harder said than it's harder to do than it is to say, because then you, like I said, also when you're adding to your database, all of a sudden you're like, well, shoot, now am I supposed to send 30 birthday texts today? And right, so, or whatever your 36 touch might be. But yeah, birthdays for me is a really easy one to start with, especially learning the system. And Keller Williams has a really good birthday smart plan that is, you couldn't even make it yourself, because like the coding of it is literally like it tells you when to do everything. And if you set it up right, you spend an hour making your email template. That's the email that everybody gets from you that says happy birthday, just like your insurance agent sends you and every other person. But when you set it up on there, it's rinse and repeat. It's done. You spent the 10 minutes making the email, update it every year when you change or whatever, but then that's done. And you put everybody in a smart plan. Now every person in your smart plan is going to automatically get an email from you on their birthday saying happy birthday. And it took you 10 minutes to do it. And then just like, don't forget to keep up with it, which I fully admit I've done bad before and kind of not went in there and then looked at my command and looked and said, oh my God, I have 35 notifications of things that I didn't do, right? And then you can definitely get like overwhelmed and feel behind. When it comes to like your smart plan notifications too, it's depending on what it is, I'd almost say like, just keep going forward. If you missed something, don't spend a day catching up to that one to then fall behind on what you're supposed to do. Just keep going forward. And if you can get to your other ones, go for it, right? I also do holidays. Holiday smart plans are super easy one, because it's something that you can just say to everybody and nobody's going to be mad for saying happy whatever holiday, right? So I have a smart plan for almost like every holiday, and I just hit send to all on this day, and it'll just send to every person that I selected that day's email that says happy, or whatever holiday it is, happy Valentine's Day, right? Yeah, so I definitely recommend using the command smart plans. They're you already paid for it by being a KW agent, so it's already included, and it is pretty robust. And like I said, it's not, there's other ones out there. I'm sure there's ones that are better, but it's like I don't want to pay for it, and this does great for me. And the fact that I can integrate it into what we use as our actual like commission structure too is pretty cool. Also, if any of you like want to go like deep dive into a smart plan, I would more than happy, like we get on a call, I can show you some of mine and how I do them. What's cool about the smart plans too is there's like a library in there. So you can go and find other agents' smart plans that they've published, and then you can use them. So if you go in there and you search my name, you can see all the smart plans that I've shared. So feel free to do that. And that kind of, you can steal the ones that I've put in there and just run with it. And I put a lot of holiday ones in there, and the birthday one. I also have a really good smart plan for like first time buyers. That is like a super long email that they get sent every day that looks like I typed it out every day for them, but I didn't. I wrote it one time and sent it to them. And I'm not kidding you. I've had people say, actually read the email and be like, oh, great. Now I know what this is. I've also, one of my best friends, I put him on it when we were buying his house. He obviously didn't read it one time, but he knew that I sent him an email every day being like, this. So like, look at me, I know everything. Look at me, I know what we're doing, this and that. And he was like, yeah, cool. I figured you knew what you were talking about, so I didn't read it. But it's like, he still saw it and was aware, and it like added to that level of like professionalism, right? So yeah, smart plans are great. I can't talk about them enough, seriously. And like I said, if you want to do a one-on-one, I'm sure there's like a specific smart plan thing coming up in this, right? And then we have smart plan classes. But yeah, if you want to go dive a little bit deeper, I'd be more than happy to walk anybody through it and show you kind of what I do, or give you some and help you set up one or two for you. Like I said, the easiest one, the birthday one, it's great. And the one that's built into the system is really good. And it like makes you, I literally have box of birthday cards that I bought from the Bezos boutique, and I have a stack of dollar lottery tickets. And so when I'll go in there and I'll be like, whose birthday is coming up? And I'll say, happy birthday. I put a cute little like over the top message in there just to be funny and make it like really personal. Throw a lottery ticket in there, put a stamp on it. I'm done. Great. And I was told to do that. You know what I mean? So it's like easy. Your systems. Does anybody have any other questions? I'm going to do this really quick. I'm going to write my info in here. Thanks for hanging out. I hope you got a couple ideas from me here. And like I said, I know I kind of just go and write, right? But like, if you have any questions, feel free. And like I said, this is my name and email and phone number. And I'm in the Eugene office. And yeah, like I said, if you can't tell, I definitely love talking about Smart Plan and the command and stuff, and definitely bought into it. And like I said, I empower you and say, hey, you already know more than most of your friends, so don't feel like you can't talk about it. Don't feel like you're bugging them when you come and say, what can I do to help? You're not, you're helping. And just keep that in mind. Like, and like I said, just don't, it's easy for us to get burnt out or feel like it's not working or uh fully admit I love saying I'll do it tomorrow. That's one of my favorite lines, right? So like we do that really easily. So but also just so you all know, with being at KW, there's really a family, like nobody's going to be mad if you ask them a question, whether it's like another new agent or a crazy top producer. Like I will ask people that do 100 deals a year and be like, hey, this crazy thing. And it's like they're happy to answer because they were there also at one point. So don't feel bad about it. And yeah, reach out. I appreciate all of you. And yeah, like I said, if you have any questions, let me know. But other than that, I think we're good. I'm gonna leave it to you now to reach out and make your calls and write your notes and do all that good stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Nick, for
everybody.
your time.
Yeah, of course. It was thanks for being on the call. It was a really good group and big group. I love that.
Thank
It
you.
was really
Nick.
nice to hear your passion for your oh my God, my brain went dead.
Volunteering.
Well, volunteering, yes, but also for the messages that we can send out.
Oh
to
yeah,
clients.
it's so freaking cool. It's so cool. I'm not like I'm like whatever, fine, take it or leave it. But like I full like transparency. 2020 Smart Plan Command was not what it is today at all. And I remember being like, God, this thing sucks. It's stupid. It's not like that at all. It's awesome. It works. It works, right? I've tested it. You already have it. So just go for it. If you hate it, great, but give it a shot. The stuff that you can do with Command is really cool.
Thank you.
So, yeah, of course. Have a good day.
You
Good
too.
luck at your open house.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.